Buongiorno and welcome to Whitby, and we're now going on a tour of the West Cliff of Whitby, which you can see in front of us. And we're actually at the end of the West Pier in Whitby, and if we pan round you can see that we've got the seafront there at Whitby, and if we pan round in the distance there is Sand's End, and then if we pan round further we've got the North Sea, and what we have here is the end of the pier through there, and you can see that there's no fishing into the harbour and fishing is only permitted to seaward. Panning round further we've got the entrance to the harbour here, and then we've got the East Pier which leads to East Cliff, which is coming up here. And if you notice at the top of the cliff you've got Whitby Abbey to the left, and then to the right you've got St Mary's Church, and there you have the entrance to the harbour. And zooming out you've got East Cliff and then West Cliff. It's rather a dull morning, it's just gone 9 o'clock, it's rather dull, a bit bracing, but what we're going to do now is to go on a tour of West Cliff in Whitby. We're going to go first of all up onto the cliff past the Royal Hotel up there, walking along the cliff top, and then at the end of the cliff up here we're then going to go down and walk along the path by the beach, and then we're going to follow the path by the beach and then come back to the end of this pier and then walk along the harbour to the swing bridge. So what we need to do now is to walk back along West Pier and then go up the hill to the cliff. Okay, we've now moved back along the pier and we're looking down the beach, and the tide's just slowly starting to come in, and if we pan round you can see the entrance to the beach is just here. You can just about make out some steps there where you can get access to the beach, and there's also a slipway up here behind this telescope, and there's a slipway there where you can also get access to the beach. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to walking down the pier here and then go up onto the cliffs and along the cliff top. So having walked back down the pier, we now need to walk up this road here to get to the top of the cliff up there. Okay, to get up onto the cliff we can either go up these steps here, which is the quick way, or we can go the longer way around, which is to walk up the road here and follow the way round up to the cliff top. I've now come up the steps, but since I last spoke to you before I came up them, it's rained, so there's been a bit of a delay while I've waited for the rain to stop. And if we pan right the way round, going back to the two piers, and then out into the North Sea, and panning round to the cliff, we see in front of us we've got the statue of Captain Cook, the whalebone arch, and the Royal Hotel. So there's Captain Cook there. I've now walked along from where Captain Cook is. I'm about 100 yards from Captain Cook, moving along the cliff top. There's the West and East Pier there. The tide, as you can see, is coming in, and is certainly in a lot more than what it was earlier on when I was on the West Pier. And what we're going to do now is just going to walk along the cliff, and then we're going to go down from the cliff onto the path that runs by the beach. Okay, we've had another shower of rain since I last spoke, but I've been walking down the road for 10 minutes and the road is now turning away from the cliff edge. So what I'm going to do now, that there's a path going to the right, I'll take that path and then make our way down to the beach. I've now reached the cliff edge, and I can either take a path along the cliff edge to the end and then go down to the beach. What I'm going to do is to take a zigzag path starting down here and then make our way down to the beach gradually. And you can look up there, there's the piers then leading to the harbour, and the tide is now coming right in, as you can see. So we're continuing to head our way down towards the beach, and you can see the tide's coming right in. We're much lower now than what we were at the top of the cliff, and we're just going down the path here towards the start of the beach. We're now coming to the end of the path, as you can see, and what we have here is the start of the beachside walk towards the West Pier at Whitby. If we just look up ahead, we can see we've got Sand's End in the distance, and if I zoom in there you can actually see the village of Sand's End. So we just go along the path and then down to the seafront, and then walk along the seafront walk, which leads us all the way to, or just before I should say, West Pier in the distance. So we come to a point here where there are lots and lots of beach huts, all of various colours, and the path continues by these beach huts and comes to an end up here, and the beach huts come to an end just before this brown building in front of us. That is Whitby Pavilion, and the path then moves away from the seafront and moves up to Whitby Pavilion. We then go by Whitby Pavilion and up to Captain Cook's statue. Okay, we're now back at Captain Cook's statue. I should mention we've just passed the Whitby Pavilion. That's a cinema and theatre complex. Okay, and we've now come back to the steps which will go down to take us to the quayside. So we've now walked down the road, and what we're going to do now is to walk down the quayside, which is behind all these buildings here, and eventually our walk will end at the swing bridge up there. So I'm walking along the road at the side of the quay, and there's various amusement arcades, eateries, cafes, restaurants, etc. for people to visit. So we're now walking by the River Esk. We've got a ship just in front of us, and there is the swing bridge. And on the right hand side of the path There's various shops for people to visit. So we've now arrived at the swing bridge and the end of our walk. Until the next time, it's arrivederci.